So just to round off is that, we're trying to provide more information for people who want to use these resources, and it's really quite complicated even for us. So we have a training session every year at our Monogram meeting, which is kind of the UK serials meeting. We have a training session to just update on where things are with the genome, with the SNPs, with the new versions, with the gene models, with the resources, because it's changing so rapidly. And actually, it's very hard for breeders to actually get on top of things. So one of the things we want to do is that we had a lot of training material that we've basically accumulated during the years. Lots of times we've given talks like this, but we didn't have it in one place. So as we started thinking, we said, well, can we actually generate a website? And we made something, it's very grassroots. It's called wheattraining.com, so nothing fancy. So wheat-training.com. So you have wheat-expression, wheat-tilling.com, and wheat-training.com. And basically it really is a grassroots initiative from the lab. So Philippa really kind of led this initiative. What we try to do is just put our collective wisdom into PDF documents that people can download and use. It's not like the law of how to grow wheat or how to work on wheat, but at least it's a beginner's guide. And we thought it was useful for people in our lab when they start to say, go there, read a little bit, but also if people from different communities want to work on wheat, this is one way to start. And basically what it has is that you can see it has just four simple panels here. You click on one. So growing wheat, you can download introduction to wheat development, how to grow wheat. You get. If I got a Arabidopsis seed, I would have no idea what to do. I see people like grow them and then they put them in petri dishes and then they pick them. I kind of get that, but I have no idea how it's done. And then probably if you get a package of wheat seeds, you'd say, what the hell do I do with this, right? So we try to say is how to grow wheat. So you get your package, what to do, how to germinate them, what to expect, how many days to expect things to happen, those kind of things. Do I use tap water? Do I use DI water? Like stupid things like that many times are still barriers to adoption, and usually are higher because no one wants to ask, do I use tap water or DI water, right? That's a question that no one wants to ask. But there, we put it there. So you have how to grow wheat, the stages, we grow them in trays, then how we sample, so all that kind of stuff. How to cross wheat. There's videos that have been done by the Germplasm Research Unit that we link to, so you can see how to cross wheat, so you can make your double mutants and so on. We have all the wheat genomic resources. They change so fast that by the time you go back and think about it, say, well, in 2 months I want to work on this, probably the gene models will be updated. There'll be new things. So we're going to try to really keep this up to date with the genome assemblies, the gene models. And you can read a lot more of what Nikolai talked about today in here. And then we have the expression data from Philippa. We did not talk anything about variation, but again, we have haplotype maps of wheat now, 62 varieties exome captured that are there, so you can actually look at variation, natural variation as well. And then the concept of defining your wheat orthodox are also in that presentation. The mutant resource, we have the different components of selecting them, designing the primers, making better gene models if your gene model is not very good, so we have a tutorial on that, and then designing the crosses. And then we also have links that we are basically updating when people are sending us new links as we speak on the genome sequences, the databases, So we hopefully will provide links there. It's not going to be the final collection of everything. There's just too many. But actually in wheat, when you say I want to do something, the mutants are found here. This is found there. This is found there. The gene models are found here. So it's really hard. Ensemble plants goes one step, but then you have the expression. Then you have the mutants. So it's really hard to put them all in one place. So this at least will try to put the sites that we normally use as a starting point for people who are getting into wheat. So with that, just to conclude that we have our wheat expression website, our wheat tilling, and our wheat training website. So these are posters 1, 2, and 3. So we'll be out there, but we'll be during the meeting here. And if you have any questions, and we'll have a demo, we'll be with computers so you can see how it works and so on. But the idea is that you're more than welcome to try them. If you have questions, just let us know, and we'll try to do our best to help. And hopefully this session has been useful to get an idea of wheat. Perhaps break some of the barriers, and again, we'll be happy to help anyone with any questions they might have. Thanks very much. Yes? So
all your lines have got a great mutational load, and how difficult or easy is it to cross them out and get them into a clean background?
Yeah, so of course, we have these 5,000 mutations in the coding sequence. We have 500,000 mutations in the wheat genome. So what we normally do, it depends a little bit on your phenotype. We've done cases where we have a gene that we believe has to do with disease resistance. So it's a very strong phenotype. We can use directly the mutant and we can see things. In other cases, when we have a more quantitative phenotype, what we normally do is that I'll grow my mutant, I'll select my homozygous. If it's a heterozygous, and then basically I'll cross the mutant to my other genome, and at the same time I'll cross it back to the parent. to cadenza or chronos. So I'll start back-crossing it straight away. And with the idea there is that if I have an A and a B genome mutant, they'll share mutations in that A and B genome, but many of the background mutations will be different.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll give it a go right away to see if I see anything, but at the same time we'll do one backcross or two backcrosses, and then. So for more quantitative phenotypes, I would say 1 or 2 backcrosses would be the cleanest way to do it. But again, because the mutations are then the two genomes are different, actually when you make that F1 hybrid between the A and the B, suddenly also you diluted the other mutations as well. So, but you have to play it by ear, because there's not, again, we're greedy and we try to push it, but at the same time we're cautious and we do a couple of backcrosses to be sure that whatever we find in that initial, we can then confirm it. And of course, when you have the F2, since you have markers, we grow an F2 that's enough plants to say we have, let's say, 15 double mutants, 15 wild types, and they'll have all the mutations segregating. So we don't compare the double mutant to the parent without any mutations. We compare in the F2 those plants that are homozygous double mutant against homozygous wild type for that mutation, but we'll still carry all the background mutation shuffling as this one. So we try to be cautious, but there's no way around it. There are 500,000 mutations in the line. The thing we did do is that in the website here, when I showed the result of the tilling, I showed that you put in a gene name, and it'll tell you in that gene there's all these mutations, but you can also do it the other way around. You can put the line name. So I have 2 mutants, let's say, Chronos 111 and Chronos 222. So I can put that in the list, and it will tell me all the mutations in those 2 Chronos lines. So I can then look at them and say, okay, they share mutations in the A and B genome for this gene, but actually all the other mutations are completely different, for example, or they have these many mutations, I need to be careful, or so on and so on. So, but it is true. The best way to do it is to do 1 or 2 backcrosses, and that gets rid of 50%, another 50%, and then by looking at a F2 that segregates, you're pretty safe if you have enough plants, because those background mutations will segregate if you use the right controls.
Can you comment on the status of the different transformation protocols for me?
Can I comment on the transformation? So currently, there's one transformation protocol that's kind of the gold standard, which is the Japan Tobacco Transformation Protocol, and that is held with license. So NIAB have that license for Europe, and you have to go through them to get that technology. And they've worked a lot to improve the transformation efficiency. So they have one variety called Fielder, which they can transform, I think it's 40% efficiently, so it's very, very high. And they can also now start transforming UK varieties as well. So Fielder is a variety from Idaho, from the US, but they can transform other varieties as well. And then Rothamsted, perhaps Malcolm if you want to add anything, but Rothamsted have a bialistic transformation of cadenza, so you can transform it exactly the same cadenza, which is very nice. So if you have a mutant and you want to complement it, you can work with Rothamsted, because they have the bialistic transformation of cadenza working extremely well. And then at BRAC, at JI, they're now also trying to get Chronos and cadenza to work really well. So Chronos works very well with the Japan Tobacco method. It's been published in Australia. But again, it's something I expect that in the next 2 or 3 years, the transformation process will improve a lot. But still not going to be easy, I would say. It's still going to be, you can't have 3 or 4 different versions of your gene and so on. It's still going to be quite a quite limiting step. But basically, I would say NIAB and Rothamsted are people who are doing the most of it. And at John Innes, BRAC is now setting up wheat as well for that purpose, because now that you have the genes, you want to do transgenics as well. So, do you have anything to add, Malcolm, to it? Best place is to transform wheat at the moment. And I'll say JI, if not, it's filming, so I need to say at JI, the BRAC facility is trying to also improve wheat as well.
Just want to know, how do you do the variant effect prediction? Because before there was software or online tool that can process that.
Yeah.
It is no longer available. So I want to know, do you do this only for wheat, and is that only for wheat?
So cotton and parsnips are still available through a very obscure link. If you go to here, you'll find it. It's a very obscure link, but you can get to it. Okay. But the variant effect, I just wanted to tell you that it's there somewhere. What we did with variant effect prediction is that we ran it through Ensemble. So basically, Ensemble have the pipeline all set up with the reference and with the gene models. So we run it through Ensemble. So it's basically the same thing as Parse. It's the same idea. And in the documentation, we kind of have what each effect, what it means, and so on. So it's all documented. But it was run through the Ensemble platform, through their API.
Do those breeds need vanillization to flower?
For the speed breed. So the varieties that we're using, so the two populations that we've made, Cadenza and Kronos, they don't need vernalization. So the nice thing about Cadenza is that Cadenza is called a facultative. It means that it can be very happy. So many plants, if they're spring, if they don't need any vernalization, if you put them in during a winter, they'll just completely get battered because they don't withstand. So Kronos is not the best plant to put out in the field, especially here. You can put it in the spring. Cadenza has a nice advantage that you can sow it now in the autumn, like let's say in September or October, we can sow it now. It can overwinter very nicely and grow into a very nice plant. It was a UK variety. It worked perfectly well. Or you can sow it in March as a spring wheat, and the vernalization needs is almost minimal. So basically, it can do both things. Sorry?
What species does need vernalization?
So if you work on vernalization, probably Cadenza and Kronos are not the ideal system for you. Unless you want to look at something that will actually have mutation that will promote a vernalization requirement. But those two actually, yeah, for that you could have. So in our case, what we've also done is that because the number of lines is not that great, we've grown them in the field and we phenotype them. So we have some lines that are very late flowering. So if you wanted to that, we can share that information with you. Because we have lines that take a longer time to come to head. So we have some of that information. But that's one of the disadvantages. Again, because we have this polyploidy thing, you can play with doing a variety that you want, mutagenizing it, and then using exome capture to sequence that mutant. So that's an approach that Brande has done with our genes. So he takes a variety, mutagenizes it, finds a susceptible line, and sequences only basically the mutant for that line with the exome capture. So there's different approaches you can do in wheat to get around it. And it's going to get very soon, it's getting to the point with these X10 and the new technology that literally you can find a mutant, you can just sequence one mutant. It's not going to be that expensive. It's going to be one or two lanes. So it's not outside of rationale that you can do it. Okay, so if you have any other questions, we'll be here. So Philippa, Nikolai, and myself will be here all the meetings. So we'll be happy to share any questions. And hopefully this is the first start of your wheat adventure. And the websites are there and the resources are there. So thanks very much for coming early and for attending. Thanks.